Hello friends. Today I'm going to have another kind of chatty video. I'm going to have kind of two parts to this because I wanted to do a video just saying how I personally got into homeschooling and how it's kind of changed the way I live in other areas too. So I want to do that, but today I'm going to do just how to get started in general, like tips and all that stuff. So I was asked a few questions. I posted on my Instagram. I'll link that Instagram account down below for some questions, and you guys had some great questions, so I'm going to answer those as well as some others. I'll throw in there. So I have notes if you see me looking down, just because sometimes I get chatty and I forget what we're here for. I'll just talk and talk and talk. So if you are thinking about homeschooling and you're not sure where to go, because it seems like this big, huge, scary, like, or I know it was for me. And does not have to be that big and scary. You just kind of need someone sometimes to say, here, do this, 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 check those things off, and it's going to be okay. So the first advice that I have, the first tip, is to just go and research the requirements that your state has on homeschooling, because every state is different. Some have more requirements than others, and there are many websites you can check that out on. I will link at least one of them down below for you guys. And it'll just kind of tell you what needs to be done. So how many days you need to do, if you're going to be required to do state testing or evaluations, just all kinds of things, how many hours you need. I live in Oklahoma, and in Oklahoma the requirements are very low and no one actually checks them. So you're not required to keep track of your work, you're not required to do evaluations, you're not required to do testing or any of that. I personally still do keep track. I keep lesson plans, so I have a record of what we're doing. I keep certain work for certain amounts of time. So like I'll keep all of last year's work until we finish this year's, and then I'll keep this year's work until when we're doing next year's. And then of course I keep the special little pictures and pages and papers and stuff. But so I'm not really required to do a lot in my state. I just like organization, and so I do keep records and stuff. But every state is different. So that would be the first thing I would do, is just look up what is going to be required of you and of your children. The second thing I would do, and I didn't realize these existed even until I had been homeschooling for like a year. I would take a test, and again, you can just Google this. I will try to link one down below if I can remember. So it's to take a quiz on your teaching style. Okay, I think we probably all know that everyone has a different learning style, and there are quizzes. Again, you can just Google. There are quizzes to find out each of your child's learning style. And if you have more than one kid, you're going to find out they're all probably different. Almost every one of my kids learns in a different way. But I didn't realize that there was different teaching styles until I had homeschooled for probably a year. And finding out your teaching style is going to help you when you're looking for curriculums and when you're ready to start planning your year. So there are all different types. And you take the quiz, and it's not very long, and it'll break it down for you, how much you are of this type or that type. So I did a test years ago, and I am unit study, Charlotte Mason, eclectic. Eclectic describes me very well. I am a match. I'm going to take part of this curriculum and part of that curriculum. I'm going to skip all this other stuff in this curriculum. I'm going to get something from Google here. I'm going to get something from a homeschool mom there. And then I'm going to piece it all together and make that work. So yes, I buy curriculums, but I also make a curriculum because I can't just do a big box set. They make big box set curriculums. We'll get into that. I tried that my first year. See, if I would have taken the quiz, I wouldn't have done that. Because I just can't do that. I can't do a curriculum that tells me, say this, do this, be this, here's what you must know. It's not going to happen. So I think that's very important. Go and take that quiz and see how you teach best, what your personality means, how that's going to be reflected in your teaching style, because it is going to come out. And if you don't know, when you go and you buy a curriculum that doesn't fit you or suit you at all, you're going to feel like you hate it, you're struggling, oh man, I should have done this. And it might just be because you picked a curriculum that doesn't work with your personality and your teaching style. So, figure out your teaching style. Quizzes all over online you can take. There's also resources from your library you can go get to further your learning on your teaching style. And then, like I said, very important to figure out your child's learning style. Because some of us need to touch things, some of us have to just see things, some of us have to hear things, and some of us have to teach things. I have some kids that if they go and teach it to someone else, they're going to know it so much better. That's how I am. And then I have kids who I can talk all day long. It doesn't matter because they have to read it. And then I have kids who they might read it and come back and have no clue. They need me to say it for them. So it's just all over the place. And I feel like by making my own curriculum, by piecing together a bunch of different curriculums, that's how I hit all those different learning styles, by just, I know what's going to work for this and that and piecing it together. I can have a different video on how I piece together my curriculum, but that would make this video too long. Okay, sorry, I had a phone call that I had to take, so let's get right back to it. Let's see. Once you finish figuring out what your teaching style is and your children's learning styles are, then you're kind of ready to look for curriculum. There are lots of ways to shop for curriculum. You can find local bookstores. I know we have Mardell's in Oklahoma. I don't know if you guys have a Mardell's, but it has lots of curriculum. That way you can really get like a hands-on view of it. Also curriculum fairs, homeschool conventions, things like that are local. Sometimes you have to travel a little bit, maybe out of your city or town if you don't live in a real big area. I know for me, I'd have to travel about 30 minutes, so it's not bad. And that way, I mean, at those things, at the conventions, they have like every curriculum known to man. I swear, there's so many. You'll probably be a little overwhelmed. You might not be able to look at everything in one day. So I would kind of recommend maybe before going to a convention or a fair is to already go ahead and be researching what curriculums you think you're interested in before going. So you can research and kind of get a list, and then when you go to the convention or the fair, you can go check those out and kind of be able to really get that hands-on look and just go through it all and talk to the people at the booth about it to get a better idea if it's going to be a good fit for you. There's all different kinds. You can get curriculum that comes in a set and it's every subject you need, and it just all will fit together really well that way. You can get curriculum like I just got done ranting about that tells you exactly what to say, what to do, that's planned out day by day, week by week. Those are just real open and close where you don't have a lot of parent involvement. And then you can get curriculums that are more loose, and you're going to have to kind of find your own separate resources to go with it and plan it yourself. So again, that just depends on you, and you'll probably figure out what kind of curriculum you're going to want by also, like I said, taking that quiz and figuring out your teaching style. So research, 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 watch all the reviews you can, read all the reviews you can, try to, if you can get that hands-on-y look, that really helps me. I like hands-on, and if you've watched any of my reviews, you'll know that, because I will go through and show you almost every page because I need that. So the next step, like I just said, is the curriculum. Another thing is try to find a local co-op or support group. Some towns and cities have co-ops and some just have more of a support group. Sometimes you have to travel for those things and sometimes you don't. If you can't find one anywhere near you, or if you're just not a real people person, find one online. Facebook has a lot of mom groups for homeschooling support, all that stuff, because then you can go ahead and ask, like, I'm thinking about looking at this curriculum, what do you guys think? So if you can't find a local support group or co-op, just look online. That way you can have that support you need, if you need to ask questions and get kind of quick answers, if you're having a rough day and you need that encouragement, that's really important to have someone else who is homeschooling with you. When I first started, I didn't know anyone else who homeschooled, and so I was really winging it. My mom had homeschooled my brothers at different times for different reasons, so I had her advice, but I didn't have like a peer going along it with me. And I feel like that's really important to have. So if, you would rather just have that online community, that's fine, but it is important to find it. And then if you want a co-op for your children to go to, Google will have that. I would say I would link it, but I don't know what state you're in. So if I was going to do it, I would just type in like Oklahoma homeschool co-ops, and it's going to pull up something. So just Google it. And they offer many different kinds. There are co-ops that meet multiple times a week for multiple hours. There are co-ops that meet once a week for multiple hours, or maybe just a couple of hours. There are co-ops that meet once or twice a month. There are co-ops that just do field trips. So you just kind of pick and choose. And sometimes there's not any that are going to fit what you want to do. And so in that case, I would recommend maybe starting up your own little club of some kind. I know there's also like all kinds of things you can find if you really start looking within your local homeschool community. Book clubs, Lego clubs, just all kinds of things. If you can't find something, make something. And that's really, you're going to do that a lot in homeschool. If you can't find the right curriculum, piece it together. If you can't find the right co-op, make your own. And in life, that's kind of just what we have to do with many things. So yeah, and if you don't want to do a co-op, but you still want socialization, get your kids involved in sports or choir or music, something so you have that outside world coming in and mixing with yours. But trust me, I wasn't going to talk about socialization, but your kids are going to be socialized. They're going to go to the store. They're going to go to the library. They're going to go to family meetups. They're going to go to the park and see other kids. They're going to go to the pool or to where they're going to be socialized. But a co-op is a good way to just have that fellowship more regularly. And there's also church and all those things. Okay. If your kid has already been in public school, whether it's been 1 year, less than a year, or up to, 5, 6, 7, however many years, it's important to de-school. When you de-school, you're just allowing that child to have a break and to figure out how they like to learn, and that learning is not a chore. It's not this bad task that you just have to do and that it's going to take up all these hours, and I don't care if you want to learn it or not type of thing. It's not bad. And they just have to kind of allow their mind to just come back to neutral and then go from there, because it's going to be hard if you've been in school for even just a few months and you get used to this routine and this is how learning feels to you. Maybe that child had a bad experience. They need to decompress from that and figure out that learning is fun and it's just here to help us and we're going to do it together, and it's a good thing. It should make you feel good. So it's really important to de-school. Depending on how long your child's been in school will kind of depend on how long you need to do that. And you're really the only judge when it comes to that, how long they need to de-school. My oldest went to public school for 2 years. She went to pre-K and kindergarten. And then we decided to homeschool, and we waited till she finished that kindergarten year. So she de-schooled over the summer. I did not do any structured homeschool time with her then. We just did the normal things that you would do with a kid in the summer. We read, we played, we swam, we went on field trips. So that was her de-schooling. And then we started just, in August, we started homeschool. And it did take her a little bit of time to realize that it's not going to be the same as it was in school. And we had to kind of break habits that she had picked up in school that had to do with reading and how she was taught to read, and just things that were kind of holding her back because it wasn't the way her brain needed to learn it. So we had to kind of rewire it, if you will. So if your kid has been in school, I recommend de-schooling. There are lots of blogs about that, lots of things you can find on Google, and books. You can go to your library and find books on the topic. So it is very important. It's not silly. I know a lot of parents think, well, it's school, it's fine, it's whatever. And they'll take their kid out of public school one day and seriously start homeschooling the next day. And I really feel like it's important to give them a break and do fun things. So read with them, do puzzles with them, find fun like learning games to do with them, go on field trips, watch documentaries. You're still learning, you're not wasting time. There's no time limit on when to learn things, but you're bonding, you're forming that bond that was kind of broken and kind of lost as the child was in school. And I'm not saying that children in public school are not bonded with their parents, they are, but you need to form that different bond for the homeschooling parent and child, saying, yes, I'm still just mom, but I'm also, teacher, and I want to do this journey with you. I'm not just going to stand up here and shout things at you. We're a team and we're going to learn together. And that's kind of the point of deschooling, is to rewire the brain, learn that we're going to do this together, and figure out how they learn and go from there. Oh. Soapbox stepped off of. Okay. Where are we at? Okay. The other thing, whether your kid has been in public school and you're done deschooling, you're ready to start, or they've never been, it's homeschool day one, even if they are 4 or if they're 14, I don't care. I think it's important to sit down and discuss with your child your plans. Like, hey, this year, I do this every year before we start school, but even if you were just about to do it, be like, we're going to be learning some things at home, and you're just going to take the time to explain to your child what you're about to start doing, whether it's your first year or not. So for me, before we start a new school year, I guess we kind of have a school meeting, and we'll sit down and I'll be like, okay, so this year, let's talk about some things we want to learn. And all my children will have the chance to tell me something they're really interested in, they're passionate about, and so we know what kind of resources we need to get, what kind of curriculum to get. I'm sorry, you guys, I got the hiccups. So anyway, and then I add things that I want to kind of learn about, because I'm learning right along with them. And it's funny, when kids know that you're excited about learning about something, they get really excited about it too, right? It's like if you're really into a show, they're going to want to watch it with you. If you really like this music, they're probably going to like it too. So I throw my stuff into that hat just like they do. So we'll go around and we'll all just list some topics that we want to learn about. Maybe we know nothing about it. Maybe we want to expand on it. And then, so once we have kind of our goals of what we want to learn, we'll set other goals about what we want to strengthen. Maybe one kid, is not confident in their reading skills, so we're going to work on that. Maybe one kid is not confident in writing skills, so we're going to work more on that. So when you get there, here's what they're passionate about, here's what we're going to learn about things. We go to, what do you want to improve on? And it might not be the same thing you want them to improve on. So I will make a list of things I feel as their teacher that they need to improve on. But I want to know what they want to improve on, because if they want to improve it, they're going to improve it much better than if I just say you need to improve it. So yeah, I know what needs to be improved on, but I'm going to ask them what they want to do, and we're going to make sure that I spend the time and effort helping them in any way I can to improve what matters to them, what they feel like needs to be improved. And then there's also character goals. And this is a big thing. It's just as important, what's actually more important to me than how well they are writing, what their handwriting looks like. That's going to improve. We'll work on that. But these character goals are even more important. So I say, hey, is there anything in your character that you feel like maybe we need to work on? So maybe it's, I have a short temper. Maybe it's, I don't always want what's best for that person. I only want what's best for me. Anything. So we will go and we'll write down those character goals, because sometimes we forget. The same thing with the academic goals and what we're passionate about. So we can evaluate and we can say, hey, do you feel like you've improved in this academic goal? Have you improved in this character goal? And I keep those all in my planner, and I have my kids keep them in a journal, because while I want them to improve and succeed and get better and all these aspects, I want them to want it, and they need to be checking on that too. They need to have the accountability of, have I worked hard enough on this goal of mine? Because if they're not into it, if they don't have any accountability, they're not going to work as hard. And I think that's one way we kind of hold our kids back, is we want to keep all that accountability to ourselves. I'll check and see if you've done it. They need to have that accountability so they work harder for it. because they will work harder for it if you say, this is yours, you need to work on this. I am here for support, I'm here for help, but you need to also be keeping track of yourself, and that's a good skill to have, right, in any age. Okay, I think we're about down to the last. Where are we at? No, I said my 7 tips. Those are my 7 tips. And there are, of course, lots more things I could go on and on and on about. So if you have any other questions, if I didn't cover something on a good way to start, just ask me, comment down below, give me a question. I can talk on homeschool all day long, y'all. So just shoot me a question. But in short, if you just want to hear the 7 things super quick, research your state requirements, learn your teaching styles, your children's learning styles, research your curriculum, de-school if they've been in public school, find a co-op or support group, discuss the plans for your year with your children and figure out their passions, what they want to learn about, make a list of goals for them and for you, and also while you're making those goals, that was the 7, while you're making the goals, try to figure out an action plan for that. I feel like too often we say, well, we want to be able to write really well. We want to write a story really well. Okay, that's great. How are you going to do that? Set up an action plan. I'm going to start learning how to do topic sentences. I'm going to learn how to do really well paragraphs. I'm going to learn how to combine all my little ideas to form a really smooth transition through my writing. Whatever it. Maybe it is I want to learn how to sew, right? So you need to set an action plan. Well, I'm going to watch tutorials. I'm going to buy my equipment. I'm going to work 10 minutes every day. If you don't have an action plan and you just have a goal, just like for you or for me, your kids need action plans too. And sit down with them. How do you want to go about this? Ask them. How do you want to go about this to make your goal work, right? So I feel like we always do these things for ourselves and we don't always do them for our children. Let them set their goals, let them set their action plans, let them find their passions, and they will do it all 100 times better than if you just did it for them. So my 7 tips plus a lot of soapbox discussions, but that will probably get you on a pretty good road to begin your homeschool journey. And like I said, any questions, drop them down below. If you have anything to add, like any other tips, leave those in the comments so people watching can kind of scroll and see your tips. I'm sure you guys have wonderful, wonderful tips to add to that. So thank you so much for listening to me and my tips and my rants and all that. And make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you have not. And, keep coming back for more. Bye.